All right, everyone. It is Friday, and you know what that means. It is time for manufacturing e-commerce success. And boy, I'm excited today because we are going to have some fun. I'm one of your co-hosts, Damon Pistolka. That guy right over there is the pretty Curt Anderson. He's going to be the other co-host today. We're going to be having some fun talking about automation, talking about how it saves time, money, and stress with none other than Rob Howze. But I am going to let Curt Anderson take over from here.
Damon, this is like such an honor, such a privilege, man. You know who's in the house today? We got Rob Howze in the house today. Rob, how are you, dude? What's happening, man?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. I'm just happy to be here with you guys, man. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Well,
It's always going to be good.
and I don't, you might be mad at me. I'm going to let something on the bet. What age did you just told me you turned a number, and I need to see some ID because I don't believe it. What number did you just turn?
I just crossed the 50-yard line, man. I'm a half century old now here.
Nice.
I just crossed the 50-yard line. I don't know if I've heard that one before. That's awesome. Well, hey, welcome to the other side of 50. It's a great place. The water's warm. Just enjoy. And it's I'd say, Damon, I don't know about you, but 50 has been my best decade. I just love my 50s.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you're absolutely gonna love it. So
yes.
All right. Rob, let's go. We're going to dive in. Simply Automate. We have tons of cover. Now, you are a repeat offender. You've been on the program before. And so I open up with a question, and I might have, I don't know if I know you love when I do this, right? I might have a little surprise for you. But hey, Rob, when you were a little guy growing up, who was your hero? Who was your hero when you were a little guy growing up?
Oh, man. Little guy. What little guy are we talking about? Which little guy?
When you were young, when you were a little kid, when you were grade school, like teenage, who did you look up to? Who did you admire? Who helped shape the amazing guy that you are?
You know what? I would have to say Sugar Ray Leonard and Martin Luther King.
Ooh, man, Sugar Ray and Martin Luther King. Those are two great answers, man. Do share. I tell you, I was a huge Sugar Ray fan. Why was Sugar Ray such a hero to you?
Well, Sugar Ray, his style of boxing, it was just so amazing. His confidence in himself, his dedication to his family, and what he wanted to do for his community. I actually boxed at the Sugar Ray Leonard PAL in Maryland, and just got a chance to be around that kind of energy. Just a really cool, down to earth guy, but can really get it done. And it's really about what I got from him was the dedication. That's the part I really got from him. The dedication. You can be charismatic and you can have fun, but you have to put in the work. And he made putting in the work look fun. So yeah. And of course, Martin Luther King. I mean, that's me. I could just say Martin Luther King.
Yeah. Everybody's hero. And the thing is the more as time goes by and you realize how I was with a bunch of buddies last weekend. It was like, without texting, how do you even coordinate anything? Like, how do you round up 250,000 of your best friends without cell phones, social media?
Yes.
It's amazing of what was accomplished during that time. And, my family and I, we were at the 50th anniversary at Washington, D.C. of his speech. And it was just such a wonderful, moving time when you think about, his legacy still carries on all these years later. So great. Rob, thank you for those two answers. Now, Rob, you love when I do this. I know you do. So I can't have you on the show and not show. So Damon, I don't know if you remember this at all, but I'm going to show.
I kind of think we're going to have a.
I have to show a friend of mine here. So Rob, I found a new video for you. You ready? So Damon, so I live in Western New York near Buffalo. And so I grew up big Sabres fan. My dad had season tickets, and I used to go to college. When I was at college, I'd come home, we'd go to Sabre games. And there was a gentleman at the Sabres games who would just get the whole place just rowdy, yelling, cheering. So I found a new video. So are you guys ready for this?
Damon,
are you ready? Okay. So
Nice. That's awesome.
All right, wait, let me go back a bit. All right, so I'm going to show Rob. I'm going to show you something. So on top of that, do you see this comment over here to the right? This comment says right here, he was the first person to know my wife was pregnant 28 years ago. Went to a game as usual, and he asked her if she was having her usual beer. When she said no, he said, "Why? Are you pregnant?" Bam. So this guy knew was the first person. Is that crazy?
I gotta send him this.
So all right, I'll send you the link. So
Yeah,
all right, so Damon,
funny.
when I was when I was a young guy, so this gentleman, his nickname was Earl of Bud. Okay, his nickname was Earl of Bud, and Rob and so he would get the Buffalo Sabres games, Buffalo Bills games. He would get tens of thousands of people just rowdy and just yelling and cheering. Just, he brought sheer joy and exhilaration to tens of thousands of people. Rob, can you please share with me, who is Earl of Bud?
That is my wonderful father, man. And that is my brother and I actually went and danced with him for his birthday. We were on the dugout. I've been trying to find a video of us on the dugout with him, and he did that thing for decades. Came back, did it in his 60s.
Oh my!
And what's incredible is that we came back to the Sabres. They had what was a Hall of Fame some type of event. They flew him in, and they had the bobblehead dolls, and there were people lined up around the corner in all ages. I'm talking about little kids. It reminded me of Michael Jackson, how you have little kids with the Michael Jackson jackets on. Like,
yeah,
I'm like, wow, it was so incredible. But what it spoke to me was that there was an energy of goodness that was left in a memory that people just appreciated and they told their kids about. So I was like, you know what? That is great, Dad. It's great. The ball area.
There it is right there, man.
That is so awesome,
man. That is his father. And every time, so Rob, I know every time we're together, I tell this story, but it's just, so he and I, Rob, if you guys aren't, first off, if you're not connected with Rob Howze, please do so. You'll thank me later. I just don't know of anybody that just brings such a contagious enthusiasm. You're like, you know what, Rob, you're like a wrecking ball of positivity. How's that for a line, man?
I like that.
Wrecking ball. And I say wrecking in the most loving way possible.
I like that.
And you're just such a genuine, just kind-hearted person. You and I connected. This is a great LinkedIn friendship here. And you and I connected and we started chit chatting. You're like, "Hey, Curt, where are you from?" I'm like, "I live in Lakewood, New York. I'm, south of Buffalo." You're like, "Oh, Buffalo, did you ever go to a Sabres game?" I'm like, "Of course I went to Sabres games. This is all you do up here." And he's like, "Do you remember Earl of Bud?" I'm like, "Oh my God. Of course I know Earl of Bud." I'm like, he's like, "Well, that's my dad." I'm like, "Well, Rob, I probably paid for your college tuition." So anyway, so Damon, we got a bunch of comments here and a bunch of friends here.
Let's roll through a few of them. We got Narcisse saying, "Hello, Curt, Damon, and Rob, and everyone. Hello." We got Pradeep saying, "Hello today." Got to see Diane comes to us from Twitter. She's saying, "Happy Friday, everyone." Then she jumps into LinkedIn and says, "Rob Howze." We got Pradeep's got some more, and we got Fei Yang saying, awesome stuff. So thanks for stopping by today. Everybody, drop your comments in. If you got questions for Rob, drop them in there because we're going to start talking about automation. This is something that Rob does every day, helping people figure out automation in business, and it's going to be some good stuff. So, Curt, let's go.
Let's dive in. So, Rob, again, thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule. So first off, please, big hello, lots of love to your dad from his buddy Curt, and tell him that Western New York misses him, and we're just showering him with love. And so let's dive in. And so you do amazing work. You're at Simply Automate. Please share with folks, who is Simply Automate? How do you guys make the world a better place? What's going on there?
Thank you for asking that question, man. And our goal to make the world a better place is to help people understand how to have better access use of their time. That's really the goal. Help people to have better use of their time. I think, and I've never said that before, but I think that's really the ultimate goal, because we all have the same amount, 24.
Yeah.
We have the same. We have the same hours, minutes, and seconds, but some of us are doing things we don't necessarily have to do, but it needs to get done. So our main objective is to go into companies and help them identify, where are people spending all this repetitive time and being stressed out? Where are these bottlenecks? Where can we add automation? You can see the joy in people's faces. And sometimes, man, it doesn't even take that long. A week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. But you do all that to save hours, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 100 hours sometimes. It's really amazing. And so that's our main objective. Help people get their time back. I think one of our favorite slogans is, too much on your plate, simply automate. I mean, you know.
Well, it's such a, I tell you, just in the simple things that I've seen in organizations, when you talk about some of these repetitive things like you guys are helping people with, you see administrative people, you see executives, you see all across the board, people are finding themselves doing much more. They might be moving files, they may be transferring information, they may be reformatting something to get it to go someplace else. And the types of automation you guys work with eliminates that. And then you go, okay, that time that I spent on that every single day, every single minute of every single day for somebody, like you talk about a customer service situation or something like that. If I'm sitting there and copying and pasting information, or I'm moving files, I mean, you can save hundreds or even thousands of hours a year doing that kind of stuff.
Oh my goodness, man. And stress. I always say,
yeah. Well, and the one thing that I think people often overlook is quality of results or quality of data.
Yes.
Because how many times have you been in a situation where you have to do something, you're supposed to do it consistently, right? You're supposed to do it over, and you go, I did 2 out of 3, but I forgot to do the third one. And it goes unchecked until you really need it. And you go back, oh, darn, I forgot to do that. I have to go back, figure out what the heck I was going to do, or fix all the stuff that was wrong because of it. And that's a huge time waster. So the quality is so much better.
Yeah, man. You said time waster, and that energy waster. You know, the brain uses 25% of the body's energy, and so the most of that is coming from thought. And so, if you could save that thought time, you can save thought, brain energy, and hey, we can use it for something else.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And, you know, and some of the e-commerce clients I work with, if they did not use automation, they could not do what they do. I mean, because when you're talking about handling thousands of orders a day, you just can't. The data, the way things moves around, and then what you have to do, you just can't do it.
Right.
You can't do it manually, because what you'll find out is you pretty much burn everybody out trying to move data, and then you have those mistakes, and you have all that stuff, and then you go, we got to do something else because this is not sustainable.
Well put. That's a great clip.
And I know, so what are some of the situations where you guys really see benefit, where you go, wow, we gave people some of their brain time back?
Yeah, you know, so anything that has to do with invoice processing, document management, data analysis, anything like that. Obviously, anything at all that we automate takes the stress off of someone, because that's now manual labor taken away. But you see invoice processing and onboarding, offboarding type of, especially with companies that have a lot of that activity, but it's the same activity.
Yes.
And so if it's the same activity, that means you can now bring a digital employee into the mix, right? That's what automation is. We call them digital employees. And they'll come in and they'll do that one thing over and over, never make a mistake, and report to you. So this way, now you can see the process taking place, whatever it was, invoice processing, payroll, inventory management, whatever it is. You can now see where it's happening. And then if there is let's call it a pause, then the gatekeeper, the human in the loop, right, they'll be notified. And so then they can take a look at what was the pause for, because maybe this time to now making an adjustment. You make that adjustment once and you never have to make that adjustment again. So remember, you were saying we did 1, 2, 3, but we forgot 4, or we forgot one of them. Well, this time once you find out what you forgot, note it, the bot remembers and never forgets it.
Yeah.
So it's a continuous process improvement.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. All right. This is phenomenal. And what's fascinating, I just had a conversation with a friend over the weekend, and, they were complaining about, their company just, being bogged down, so many touches with invoicing on receivables, payables. And so, Rob, what you guys do, you come in with your team and you're just really streamlining these processes, and it's not taking away jobs. I think, do you run into like that resistance of change, people are complaining that they're too busy, but they're not busy enough to stop and make a difference. Right? Do you run into that?
Oh yeah, my goodness. Well, we don't want change, but we don't want things to stay the same. Yeah, that thing. Yeah, run into it all the time. And that's when you have to sit down and help them paint the picture. They paint the picture that they want to see. Mm-hmm. Once they paint the picture they want to see, then we map to that. Right. So we show them, they show us what they're doing, and then from that, how do you want this to go? And then what we provide from the automation map, it's essentially showing them all their entire process, and then where automations can take place at, and where the free time can now happen. And then we also discuss what would you do now with this time. So in regards to the jobs, Sammy, who's been coming in and spending 2.5 hours a day doing this repetitive work, now Sammy can do something else, right? Now we can talk about maybe marketing, sales, or maybe public speaking, or getting out into the field. And for the other business owners, maybe this or operators, maybe this means you just don't do that, right? And you save time. Instead of having to do the work, like if you're the one operating it, then maybe now you go home early. That's happened too. We helped the CPA firm, and it's incredible how much time they were able to save. It's only like 15 of them, but they didn't have to hire any more folks, and they were able to go home earlier, which is big.
This is huge. This is huge, because there are some industries that, if you look in healthcare, if you look in CPAs or finance people, very hard to hire, because we're just not getting enough people that are interested in out of college right now. Mm-hmm. And those kind of industries, as you said, when you can go into a CPA firm and you can eliminate a lot of that manual operations that they do over and over, because they're doing all this thing. It could be taxes, could be reviews, could be whatever they're doing, or just monthly stuff for businesses. Mm-hmm. They don't have to hire. And that is just such a big pain for a lot of businesses now.
Yep.
So I'd like to dispel a couple of myths. And before we do that, Rob, Damon, we got a few comments here that I thought we could grab. If you want to just go through the chat box there real quick.
We'll do. Let's get going here. So let's start with, where do you want me to start, Curt? We got a lot today. Diane, listing and typing on LinkedIn. Okay. So she's getting in and out on that. Automation, quality of results, so important in my effective and efficiency reviews. Quality of results, that's for sure. And then Diane talks about the fear of change. Yeah. Mm-hmm. We all know that when we step on the scale and go, I really should change what I'm eating. It's not going to magically get there.
Yeah. And I'm going to grab this one here, because we can't buy time using money. Pradeep, thank you for that comment.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Juicy comment. So, Rob, I wanted to dispel a couple of myths with you today, because your services are really powerful. And so, as we're talking to, different entrepreneurs or whoever might be listening out there, they're like, I know I have a problem, but sometimes, we know we have a problem, or we don't know we have a problem. And if we do know we have a problem, just don't know how to fix it. Okay. Mm-hmm. Walk us through the process when a business owner, entrepreneur, whatever, reaches out to you for the first time. Yeah. Walk us through that process on like how your team comes in and starts identifying some of these culprits that are, you call them time wasters. Mm-hmm. I call it like those profit killers. What are walk us through that beginning process?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So the first process is that discovery call. So that discovery call is where we get a chance to hear the pain point, like hear exactly what's going on, get the visualization of what's actually happening. And then this is also where the team is sharing their actual pain points and what they're doing. And it's very, very important when you begin to start talking about it, because a lot of times we discover people don't know what everyone is doing.
100%. It's just getting done. They don't know how.
Yep. That's it.
Uncover a lot of waste that way.
Yeah, a whole lot of ways. So just getting on the same page. And then, like I said, once we do that, what our team does is once we identify the process, we identify one process that we're going to take a look at. Once we have that, then we create a design document to show them where the automation can take place, right? We'll have this design call, and not only where the automation takes place, but how much time is being saved, right? And any other ROIs that we can incorporate into this document, showing them how it's going to actually happen, and then talking about now what's next. We're future pacing. So we sat down and got an understanding of exactly what was happening, who was doing what. Second, then we put together a document to show you where the automation can take place so you can see it for yourself, right? And then third, we're going to say, okay, we're going to future pace. Now, what are we going to do with this time? How do you see that? Because when you can see the future, you feel more likely that it's possible. And that's actually inspiring.
That's an awesome step because you can, when someone imagines I have an hour or less each day in that kind of work, this is what I'm going to replace it with. And they see they get to do more of what they love. That's a great thing.
Yep.
So Rob, let's go. So a couple of the myths that I wanted to dispel here today is you don't have to be a massive corporation to take advantage of your solutions. This is completely viable for smaller companies, companies that have, like you mentioned, the accounting firm, service-based firm. We're targeting manufacturers. So if there's a manufacturer, and typically the person that's managing the finances and manufacturing, they're doing HR. They're probably doing a little bit of marketing. They're probably they have 3 different hats, and they would welcome, but sometimes they're just so busy they can't stop to call a timeout and say, could somebody look at this of how to make this more efficient? The other thing that I want to talk about. So first off, I want you to dive into like the size of the company. You don't need to be a huge corporation to take advantage of these services. Could you hit that, please?
Yeah, you don't. But I would say, any company can do automation and needs to. I don't care what size. It's be one person. Okay, there's something that you're doing repetitively. Now, with regards to the type of services and automation, like RPA, AI, and the type of things that we do, the companies typically have between a minimum of 20 employees. We've had 10, but we've been seeing around 10 to 20 being the bare minimum. But more so on the dollar number, we've had the company that's only about $1 million. Now we've noticed that the companies $1 million to 5 million, they're having a little more trouble grasping. It's something about that pocket. But once you get the 10, 20, and 30, now they're ready to start incorporating some things because they got a lot of arms. So it can work for anyone. It can work for the $500,000 a year company,
right?
If they're ready and focused and ready to get busy and understand what they're doing. Sometimes, like you said, we're so focused on what we're doing, it's very difficult to lift up. But this is the time to lift up.
Right. It's time to lift up. And I'm a culprit of that, Damon. You know that very well. And so Rob, I want to hit that right there. That $1 to $5 million company. Definitely, they probably need this more than the $10, $20 million company. So let's talk to that person, that company right there that's listening, right?
Yeah.
How do you handle it when they, like I said, maybe a little bit resistant, or, a lot of times, unfortunately, it's human nature that we want, we need to justify our existence. We want to justify our job. And so I do this busy work because that's what I've always done. That's my job security or whatever. How do you help people reduce that threat of like, oh my goodness, you're going to expose me to the boss that I haven't been efficient this whole time. How do you help soothe those people, say like, hey, listen, we got you. We're going to get you through this. Like, how do you guys handle that?
Oh, that's such a great question. Such a great question. Always focus on the goal. Again, to the future pacing. Always focus on the goal. So the objective is to be efficient in what we're doing. Let's call this Sammy. I'm Sammy. We've already used Susie now. Okay. It's important. Now, Susie may feel if you do this, then I might look like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, and I may not be necessary anymore. But that's not true. Instead, Susie, what it's going to do is help you do what you do better and faster, and give you more free space of mental space, so then you can understand exactly how you can do your job and better. I like and better. And that's what this is all about. It's about being able to do things better. And that's because of the freeing up of the mind. It's the mental space. Again, only so much time in a day. If we can free it up, and now instead of being bogged down this entire day, now we have this day to think freely. There's so much more we can do. And what we find out also that Susie now can get 3-4 times as much stuff accomplished.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Well, again, when you go back and you look at the actual makeup of work, the work we do in business, there's very little time that is spent on the actual work itself. There's so much time preparing and stopping and starting and all throughout the day. And a lot of times we're only actually doing those tasks about 30% of the day or less. So that your automation, by taking out that time, I can imagine that they get multiples of productivity from it.
That's a great perspective, though. You broke that down. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because it's not about when people, we used to do this in manufacturing all the time. When the people that from years ago, when they started talking about lean manufacturing, it's not about making the process steps faster, because they're pretty fast already. 9 times out of 10, sometimes it is. It's all the junk around it. Right. So that's why you saw in manufacturing, they went to quick changeovers, because if a changeover takes me 8 hours, but it only takes me an hour to run the parts I need to run, well, I only have 1 hour making me money, and I have the other 8 hours where I'm not. Well, if I can make that into 4 hours, now I got 3 more hours of running, making money. So that's really what we see with your process automation, I'm sure, in those companies, is that little bit of time they're doing value-added work, they get a lot more time to do value-added work now.
That's it. A lot more time to do value-added work. Come on.
Yeah, that's the thing, man, because you just look and you see this in business and in manufacturing. Like you said, it could be simple invoice processing. It could be taking something to get, all my shipments from one system into the UPS thing or whatever, and I'm doing 100 shipments a day. That kind of stuff just robs people of brain draining time when they could get it done and do better things.
Right. So, Rob, let's go here. Let's dive into some of your solutions, if you don't mind. I'm just going to grab your website, but just give us. So, say again, entrepreneur out there, manufacturer, maybe somebody in the finance department was like, "Man, you're speaking my love language right now. Like, you're going to help. My goodness gracious, I really don't want to hire anybody, but I kind of need to. But if you could just pull a couple hours a day off my plate, man, things would just be gravy." Let's dive in. You mentioned invoicing. What are some of the other services and solutions that you guys provide?
So it's really automation for anything from I'm going to name a couple, like supply chain management. We said invoice processing, auditing, which is really big. Any data analysis, export, expense reporting. There's what else we got here? Let's see. What's my favorite one? It's one. Oh, accounts payable. That's a great one. I would say this though, because even with let's say accounting firms, even their accounts payable and is different. Like everyone may do something somewhat similar, but everyone is unique in their way. And so the number one thing to do is to have that first discovery call where all the minds can come together around what the objective is. And so that way we can identify what the process, and the way we do that is you immediately look for where the pain points are. Who's having pain? Who's having stress? Like where are the bottlenecks? And then from there, we go into, okay, what are the steps within this? And that's when you really start to find out, wait a minute, we thought we had 4 steps. It's like 44 steps. Wait a minute. Okay, well, wait. We don't actually need 44, come to find out. We only need like 12 of them. So a little more than 4, but not quite 44, right? But that discovery call allows for that analysis to come to fruition. So really, it's anything at any time. Just look for repetitiveness. Wherever you see repetitiveness, there is a digital employee out of work wanting to get to work. Okay. Put them to work. These digital employees are pretty cool though, because they don't complain at all. They don't take vacations. They don't go to take a break. They don't eat the donuts and the coffee. They don't do anything besides what they're supposed to do. And they only pause if they need to ask you a question so they can get back to work.
Yeah. Well, and the thing that I really see in this is we've grown to expect a different level of customer service as consumers, right? And whether it's internal operations that you're talking about or external customer facing operations, we have to be faster. And allowing these things to happen 24/7, as Curt and many other people we talk about, allowing people to do business with you when at 7 p.m. on a Friday night, if that's what they want to do, it's really important to look at how this can help enable your business to do that.
Yes.
There's a lot of things in that. So Diane talked about something here that I think, the automation does, 3 or 4 times more accomplished, but with less stress and feelings of being overwhelmed or overburdened and burned out. It's so true. So true that, that you're taking that excess off the plate, that's just mind numbing kind of work, and you're getting them back into the stuff that they really feel valuable in doing.
Yeah. And here's another myth that I'd love for you to dispel, Rob. It's, a lot of times, I've had buddies that I've talked to, they're not AI, they're not up to date on AI. And so then somebody will like scare the bejesus out of them of like, AI is going to take all of our jobs and, we'll be taking over. It's not about eliminating jobs. It's about making your company more competitive. Could you please just share a little bit, again, like these tasks, these processes that you are implementing on these tasks are not eliminating jobs. It's creating opportunity. Could you please elaborate on that?
They nail on the head. And we're doing a webinar next week. We're going to go into that too. And it's about using automation to streamline and scale and succeed quickly. That's the webinar. Using automation to streamline, which means all the things that's bogging you down, get this thing automated, and you can scale once you do that. Let's talk about that for a minute. You can scale once you have freed up the time. That's where the scaling comes from. The scaling comes from because now the people are now doing, as Damon was saying, things of more value. Well, that value add to the company, that's going to create revenue. It's going to create opportunity. That's just the direction of that momentum. And so it's important. And the key word is quickly, because this does not take long. It's really amazing how fast it can work. And it's not magic. It's just getting organized with your thought, and then you can work your magic. Okay. It's getting organized with your processes, standardizing your processes, and then you see the magic. It's like, oh, wow. And so never be afraid of losing your job. Never be afraid of losing when it comes to automation. Now, I'll be honest, some of the larger companies, they will get rid of people. That's just, people are always doing that. We don't really work in a space. We haven't seen that. We haven't seen it at all. What we've seen is the companies that we work with, and we do have a couple B companies. But most of our companies are, 500 million, 10 million. They're really wide range, but none of them cut people. They all find a way to reallocate the energy of the people. As a matter of fact, that's part of the discovery call, and then not the discovery call, the design call. Because when the discovery is to understand what's happening, during the design call, we come back and show you where we're going to add the automation, and also talk about the future and where we're going to put this energy. Everyone starts to get fired up, and the paradigms is shifted forever. So, I'm saying a lot.
No, this is phenomenal, Rob. Good. And I think that the big thing is, my takeaway is, I'm going to make a little change here. And so, the big takeaway for me is, again, you've used examples with Susie or, Joe, whoever it is, they were doing busy work of matching invoices. There were 10,000 invoices went out this month, and, they're busy, batching them all or matching whatever they're doing. Yeah. Well, now all of a sudden you and Wilton and the team come in, you remove that off of Susie, Joe, whoever's plate. And now, like, you know what? We've been talking for years that we want to negotiate some different contracts. Yeah. And you know what? We just haven't had time. It just hasn't been a priority. So now let's sit down with UPS and negotiate our contract. Or let's go find a different vendor or supplier for this. Or let's spend more time. Rob just came in and saved, cut 2%, 3% off of our expense line, which went right into our bottom line. Yeah. And now Joe and Susie have more time to, like you said, either business, I'm on the growth side or I'm on the cut expenses side, and both going to my bottom line. Right.
That's a huge point, because you think about it and you go, okay, if you're automating and you're allowing your administrative staff to say, let your business grow 25% and no one else has to be hired, or more resources don't be added, that's incredible on your profitability. It's incredible what that'll do to allow you to scale, like you said in your, and you guys are going to be talking about next week. That scaling factor is huge, because your overhead is it's a cost you have to incur, but it really does increase your profitability quickly when you don't have to do that. And you end up running companies that, while you're not cutting people, but if I go from 10 million to 20 million and I don't have to add anybody, just think how that impacts your profitability. It's a huge thing.
Major.
And think about, I remember years and years ago, I had a client, and they had to turn off their marketing because their operations couldn't handle the influx of new business. And again, because so many things were not automated, nothing was automated. It was antiquated. Everybody was doing busy, just it opens a door. And I love the word right there, kind of a drop the mic moment right there, Rob, is like the scalability. And that's what you guys are teaching at the webinar this Thursday, 1:00 Eastern time. Again, connect with Rob on LinkedIn. As a matter of fact, I'm going to drop in the chat box right now for you guys and put that out there. So guys, definitely, absolutely connect with Rob on LinkedIn. You want to join the webinar. Rob, we're going to start winding down. I want to be mindful of your time, because you're helping thousands of businesses out there just make all sorts of money. You talked a little bit before we went live. You talked about, like how communication and just a lot of positivity has been coming into you personally and for the business. Can you just share a little bit, like what's been a game changer for you, A, and B, why do you think you guys have been so successful with your communication?
So for me personally, in Curt, I don't even know what I called it. I know I mentioned collective consciousness, but and essentially the breakdown of what I was speaking about is we're always listening, engaging with other individuals. We're getting ideas from videos. We're reading books. We're getting from different sources. And so what I like to do is have these moments where you sit down and you can go into this flow state, and by being still and then discerning all the different things that you actually have downloaded, taking the time, now understanding your own objective. Now you can now take Curt's information, Damon's information. We got Susie, don't we? Got Susie and Sam in the house. Take their information and now distill it down into how I want to understand it, aligned up with my objective. It really is just taking complex ideas or thoughts and ideas and sitting down. This moment of stillness is very interesting. We don't do this a lot. We don't do this a lot, but it's a powerful thing. I want you to imagine this. Imagine there are, because you have 60 to 70,000 thoughts, right, a day, right? That's what they talk about. Just imagine your head like a highway, and you have 60 to 70,000 cars on the highway of your mind, right? Just a lot of noise. 60 to 70,000 cars going back and forth. What stillness does is it removes all the cars. Now I can hear. Now I can think. Now I can take all the thoughts that I've just downloaded and consumed, and now I can really digest them. And this is how you get clarity of thought. Brian Tracy talks about it a lot. Bob Proctor talks about it a lot. All the great thinkers talk about it. But I would encourage people to find your pockets of stillness and then take complex thoughts into that. Get still first and then discern. And then for the company, we've been seeing a lot of we've been having the right people come to us because our communication has been to the people who want to see it. And the people who see our content, it's valuable because it resonates with what they're doing. And so I encourage people to, anything you're doing in business that's working, share it online, but also share the details around it. Tell stories around it, because people are going through it. And then they're going to see the stories and see the outcomes, and they're going to be drawn to it. So both have been working, the personal and the business. And I think it's stillness and presenting things of value on the other side.
Awesome.
Rob, we're going to take a moment of stillness. and we're going to just resonate. We call them moments of silence. We're just going to kind of resonate that Rob Howze brilliance right there, dude.
Yeah.
Thank you. Damon, I'm going to grab this comment here.
Yes.
Because communication will help us to collaborate with others and can help present our ideas with others. Thank you for the great comment there. Appreciate that. Diane has a nice comment here, Damon, if we want to speak here.
Business and industry is always evolving and changing. Those companies that stay up to date with those changes become leaders. Automating and implementing technology allows you to stay competitive and able to address the evolutions and changes when they arise. That's a great comment, because it is. And that's a sad thing about when you're not keeping up to date. It's a slow death by 1,000 cuts. Then all of a sudden you wake up one day and I don't have any more blood.
Here comes the alcohol. No.
Yeah. So, Rob, we will wind down. And so, again, we want to encourage, invite, welcome everybody. First off, connect with you on LinkedIn. Check out Simply Automate. Wonderful website. These guys are just doing incredible work, helping tons of entrepreneurs, just making their lives easier, better, more efficient, more effective. Webinar this Thursday, September 26th. It's at 1:00 Eastern time. We've got a link in the chat. Connect with Rob and you'll see that LinkedIn Live webinar that they're doing next Thursday. Rob, any other words of wisdom, thoughts that you want to share as we wind down?
You know, I will double down. I will double down and say, you know, the time is now, and it's time to really get still and think about how your company could be better. If you are an operator, just take some moment of silent time and think about how your operations could be better. Think about how it could be better. And it's just the thought that makes it better. I'll give you a little tip. And this is not mine. It just came from somewhere. I don't know where it came from, but it's called the 1% method. And we want to get at least 1% better every day. And the way to do that, to guarantee yourself to get at least 1% better, is by simply reviewing what you did before. That's going to get you at least 1% better. Just the reviewing. Because the reviewing now allows you to become aware of what has been done. And just by that level of awareness, now you have some kind of inkling of what you may do different or the same. So my advice would be get still, review, and if you need to reach out, please do.
All right.
Rob,
Rob.
I'll tell you, dude, you are such a blessing. Your breath of fresh air. I appreciate you, appreciate your friendship, appreciate what you do for your clients, for our community. And I wish you guys just monster success. I have one last question for you, Damon. I can't help myself, since, you know, Earl of Bud would stand on the top of dugouts doing Pee Wee Herman for tens of thousands of people. Rob, here's my question for you. Let's just say, now you're a Maryland guy. Are you Orioles? Do you have a team? Who's your team? Who's your baseball team?
Well, actually, Orioles, I would say, because Cal Ripken is just a legend.
All right. Well, let's just say hypothetically, okay. Let's say that there's an Orioles game. They're playing the dreaded Yankees, the hated Yankees. Tie score. There's a guy on second base. It's the bottom of the ninth. There's 2 outs. And they need a winning hit. They need a hit to bring in that winning run. And the manager turns on the bench and says, "Hey, Rob, grab your helmet, grab your bat, get to the plate, and hit in that winning run." Okay, you with me so far? You good?
I'm with you.
On your way to the plate to hit in that winning run, Rob Howze, what's your walk-up song?
Let's go. Getting stronger.
Rob,
there we go.
And if you guys haven't followed Rob is notorious for, he creates a bunch of his own songs. He has his own rap songs. He's got videos. He brings his family into his videos. And so, Rob, I had to ask you that question. So, hey, we're
Eye of the Tiger, man. Eye of the Tiger.
Eye of the Tiger, baby.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to close out. I want to just thank you. Thank you for your time. Appreciate you. And as we like to close out every week, man, just go out and be someone's inspiration, just like our friend Rob Howze. And Damon, how about a big round of applause for everybody out there, for our friend Rob, for just crushing it, bringing the heat today. Damon, why don't you close us out, my friend?
All right. Well, thanks, Curt. Thanks so much, Rob, for stopping by today and talking about automation, how it saves time, money, and stress, and how you guys at Simply Automate are helping companies do that. And I want to thank all the guests that were here today. We got Pradeep and Diane and Narcisi, and I'm missing other people, I'm sure. I'm rolling back through the comments here. But thanks, everyone, for being here. And if you got in here late, you want to go back to the beginning, because Rob dropped a lot of good nuggets about automation, some things you want to consider during our talk today. And everyone, as Curt says, go out and make you best impact you can, and we will be back again next week. Hang out, everybody. There we go.
Thanks, Rob. That was awesome, dude. That was phenomenal. Are we still
No,
live?
it's not working here.
Yeah, we're still alive. We're still alive.
We're still alive.